I will not say it is impossible for you to get to be a CRA without any experience. Find out how coming up. Hey guys, ECRG here, back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about, is it possible for you to be a CRA, Clinical Research Associate, without any clinical research experience? Is that possible? Well, I'm going to tell you one thing. If you want it to happen, you're going to have a good resume. And if you want a good resume and you're new to clinical research, look no further than our resume review program. All you've got to do, email us your resume. We'll have a discussion. We'll get some context. We'll go through your resume, comb through it, improve it on a variety of factors. If you are curious what those factors are, you can email us or look at some of our resume review videos, and you can see how we do it, our process, and get a little bit of taste for that. But I strongly recommend it if you're trying to get into clinical research without any experience, trying to get your way into the industry. But to be a CRA, is it possible to be a CRA without any experience? And it is possible. There is one way, and this is a very, very long shot way. Very long shot. And I'm going to go into the details as to why it's a long shot and what has happened over the course of 2017, 2018, that has made it very difficult for you to be a CRA without any experience. Because back in the day, 2015, 2014, and before, you could have gotten in without any experience, maybe even 6 months experience, people were becoming CRAs. But here's the deal. The one way to do it is to get into a training program. Now, you see these training programs all the time from major CROs. You've got IQVIA, you've got Novella, you've got MedPace, you've got a bunch of other CROs. I've seen Cato Research based out of Durham. They have CRA training programs, and there's probably many others too that I'm not even thinking about that have training programs. But you've got to be on top of it when applying. But occasionally, every training program has a focus usually. They're like, okay, this time we want to make study coordinators into CRAs. So all they're really looking for are study coordinators. And so basically the only way to get into that program for that cycle is to be what they're looking for, study coordinators. Sometimes they're like, okay, we just want industry professionals. So they'll take in-house CRAs. They'll take clinical trial assistants. They'll take project coordinators. They'll take study startup. They'll take whatever experience you have. Obviously, the people that have the closest to CRA, so clinical trial assistant, project specialist, project coordinator, those people that are either on the project management side or clinical operations side have the best chance to get in. But even if you just have clinical research experience, you have a chance to get in. Sometimes they're like, okay, we just want in-house CRAs or remote monitors to get into the program this quarter or this phase, and that's it. But occasionally, they will say, we want somebody with no experience, like a college graduate. I've seen it from time to time. They'll have a college graduate class where they're accepting maybe a small class, 4, 5, 6 individuals, no experience required, and they'll put you in the pipeline to become a CRA. You may have to sign a non-compete. You may have to work there for a couple of years before you can leave. They'll keep your salary pretty low for those couple of years, because that's really the attractive point to bringing in somebody with no experience, is that you can pay them a lot less, you can train them up, and get a higher ROI on the back end from those individuals. So that is the one way to be a CRA without any experience. Now, that is a long shot way. I would not hold your breath for that, because it's rare when they do that, and you could be building experience the whole time doing that, rather than just waiting for that one opportunity. So I would suggest do both. If you want to be a CRA, definitely try and get your foot in the door in the industry at some point and make your way towards it, rather than just wait for that one in 100 chance of that happening. But it is possible to do it. Now, why does it take years or a year or two to get into the industry and get the experience you need to become a CRA? Well, one of the main common misconceptions about being a CRA is that it is an entry-level job, or it's a job you can just pick up and do right off the street. And that could not be anything further from the truth. A CRA is not an entry-level job. Just as like many other jobs out there are not entry-level, like you can't just like walk off the street and be like VP of sales, or you can't just walk up off the street and be the head of a company or anything, head of a department. You've got to work your way up. And that's because you learn steps at each way that are going to benefit you in that role. And it may take longer than you'd like. Sometimes it's shorter, sometimes it's longer. But with specifically a CRA, it is not an entry-level position. There's a lot of learning that takes place. There's a lot of terminology you have to know. And you've got to know the process of how clinical trials works. You can't just walk off the street with any experience and get into clinical trials and know what's going on. That's just not how it works. You've got to get your experience. So the sponsor over the past couple of years, sponsors like any like pharmaceutical company or the people that make the drug or medical device, that's a sponsor. They have been saying pretty steady across the industry that they want 2 years experience. They want 2 years experience in the industry before someone can be a CRA on their studies. Now they do this to make sure that the CRAs are competent and know what they're doing. And CRAs is one of the most expensive things on a study protocol because they're paying for flights, they're paying for hotels, they're paying for the hours that the CRA works, and they're paying for their scientific expertise because they're monitoring the data. So the higher you pay a CRA, typically, you're going to get a better quality monitor, which is going to in turn make better quality data. And that data is what is submitted to the FDA for the drug to be approved. So they want the cleanest data they can possibly get at the cheapest price. So the sponsor said, okay, it's better for us to spend more money on CRAs. We're going to have to pay them more once they're 2 years experience, but our data is going to be a lot clearer, a lot less headaches with the FDA. So they pretty much said, you know what, 2 years experience before we even approve you to be a CRA. And that's another thing. Sponsor approves every single person that works on their study. And they want people that are experienced, point blank. That's less hassles later on that they've decided. So now, even though there's a huge industry shortage of CRAs, and there has been for decades, they want 2 years experience because it's better. Now a CRO, they're only going to hire you at 2 years. They're only going to want to bring you in if you have 2 years experience for them to be CRAs, because the sponsor's only going to bring you on and approve you for a study if you've got 2 years experience. So that's why most of the programs, the training programs that are out there, require some experience beforehand. So one of the things in the industry they're trying to do is change the experience level, because experience level does not always mean competence. So they're trying to make it so, people that are competent to be CRAs can be CRAs, which again is not going to be everyone. You may think that's awesome now, but that competence standard is probably going to be pretty difficult for everyone to meet. So it may be better or worse depending on where you fall. But that's pretty much it. Is it possible to be a CRA without any experience? It is possible, but it's not very probable. So I would keep that in mind. Hope you enjoyed that bit of, a little going back through history there. But it's very important to keep that in context, because a lot of people think because of the demand that you can be a CRA without any experience, and it is not an entry-level position. It is not a position you're just going to get in and understand within a month. It's a lot. Even being an in-house CRA is a lot. A true in-house CRA that does visits and everything, does site selection visits, does closeout visits, regularly scheduled site monitoring calls, and is the point of contact for sites. That's a true in-house CRA. Even that can be a transition for you. I mean, it's difficult to get the cadence of clinical research. It's not easy by any means. And a lot of people say, you know what, I'm in this other field, I'm high up in this other field, I should be able to come in and be a project manager or come in and be a CRA. No. Clinical trials is a completely different industry than whatever industry you're in. So keep that in mind. Put your comments down below. Hit that bell, hit that subscribe button. If you're listening to this right now, go ahead and do it right now. Listen to it right now. If you're listening on the podcast, please leave us a review. Let us know you like it. And a new video every day, guys. So email us, eliteclinicalgroup@gmail.com for any inquiries. Take care.